Sorry about that.
Do you
Okay.
want to know what we aren't?
I had a couple questions of the participants, if we're allowed to ask questions. I was just curious where everyone was from, if you've been here locally or if you're new to the area.
I can go first. I've been here since 2013 on and off. So I left for about 3 years and then I came back recently to finish my degree. But I'm originally from San Bernardino, California. So that's southern, a little east of LA.
My little dog is from San Bernardino too.
Oh my God.
She came from a shelter down there.
Wow. Yeah, they have a lot of shelters out there.
What are you studying, Christina?
I'm doing geography and a Spanish minor.
And what area of Cooperation Humboldt were you kind of interested in?
The food sovereignty.
Food, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'll go next. I was born in Eureka, so I'm very local. Grew up in Ferndale. And yeah, now I'm a senior at Cal Poly Humboldt, and I'm studying to be a physical therapist. And I'm also interested in the food sovereignty. And the classroom went dark because it's on like a timer, but oh well. And I'll just pass it to whoever wants to go next.
I'll go next, I guess. I am studying a doctorate in veterinary school, a master's in psychology and a minor in business. I live in Reading. I came from Connecticut. I went up to Arcata, went to Reading. I'm moving back to Arcata soon. I was interested in the ecosystem part and the food sovereignty part. I think it was, there's 3 parts, correct?
We had made a few different areas available. The food sovereignty was one, and the education team. And I'll give Kate an opportunity to talk more about what that might entail. And then Kimberly can speak a little bit about CUNA. CUNA can use some help up in North Arcata with community organizing too.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. And
Philip.
Yeah, so I am a senior environmental resource engineering major, and then my minor is in Native American studies. Food sovereignty definitely echoed with me a lot. And I moved to Arcata in December of this year when we finally went in person for that last spring semester.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll speak to the food team a little bit first, and then we'll let Kate talk a little bit about education and Kimberly talk a little bit about CUNA. And even though I know the food team has been named by each of you, you know, I encourage you to keep your mind open to education and to CUNA once you hear about it a little bit. And also for those of us who are presenting today, just remembering that this will be shared with a few other students who were not able to be here today. So, you know, make your information broad enough to suit everybody. And I should also probably name the fact that, you know, I, as coordinator of the food team, I have concern about taking on too many people with the food team. And we have already committed to Jose and Momi, who's not here. I'm not certain whether the team will have enough work, you know, to keep more people than that busy 15 hours a week. And some of that can also depend on the aptitudes and the interests and the capabilities and the level of independence of extra people who come on, because for sure with the food team, and I have a feeling education is the same way, probably maybe not CUNA quite so much, but you can speak to that, Kimberly, but definitely in most areas of Cooperation Humboldt, the things that we've decided to tackle have been decided on, you know, partly from like a strategic angle of like, where are the levers where we can affect change, but also based on like who's showing up, who shows up to the meetings, and what are they passionate about, and what do they want to create. So, you know, that if someone else was coordinating the food team, the range of things that we offer might be totally different than what I just showed you, because that's what came from my imagination and the imaginations of the people who've come to the meetings and done the work. And that being said, like that's the beautiful part of of Cooperation Humboldt. Like if people come onto the food team and they have enough energy and excitement, and are willing to be fairly self-directed, you know, with just some check-ins, and they have an idea of some amazing thing that they want to do, and it's not going to like leave us struggling when you go in a year. You know, maybe we could take more than the 2 people we already have on the food team, but that's something that we need to kind of talk through together. So Momi and Jose did come to the food team meeting on Monday, and that team meets every other Monday. So a week from this coming Monday, there'll be another food team meeting. Those are every 2 weeks. I am pushing for anybody who I'm mentoring through the food team. I'd like to do very short 20 or 30-minute every other week check-ins, either one-on-one or a couple of you at a time with me, but just to help manage, you know, workflow and priorities and answer questions and have you feel supported. One thing about the food team is that the type of work that we do is very cyclical based on the time of the year and what the flow usually kind of looks like. Like if we start kind of heading out from now, the growing season is starting to wind down. So there's definitely still help needed in the Jardín. In Arcata, just hands-on gardening help is great, but that will become less as we go into the winter. And throughout the winter, the biggest project that the food team works on is the food guide. And I understand that, you know, the work that we're supposed to be providing for our fellows is meant to be, you know, kind of more outward facing and engaged with the community. And this is a little bit less so that, because we're kind of all working from home and meeting, you know, every 2 weeks to create a publication. I still think that it meets the requirements because it's a publication that is very engaged with the community, and we're working with other, you know, stakeholders in the food world and other people working in food sovereignty, and we're networking. We're communicating with businesses to verify their information for the listings. We're interviewing people who are doing cool work in the community and writing stories. We're taking photographs, we're doing layout. We're trying to get people to sponsor it, to pay for the printing costs. So that takes up really the bulk of the winter and is the biggest chunk of work on the food team during that time. In about February and March is when we plant the community fruit trees. So that is a very hands-on thing that I would love to have a few people working on. And there's the piece, there's kind of the behind the scenes piece of getting people signed up and communicating with them and scheduling and ordering the fruit trees. And then there's the actual planting. So there's different ways that people can engage during that time. And then coming out of that, we, depending on funding, we did get some funding this year, so we were able to do it. I can't promise anything for next year because it depends what grants we're able to get, but hopefully in about, we'll be wrapping up the food guide as we do the fruit trees through about March. And then in about April, we tend to turn our attention to doing the mini gardens. And again, there's a lot of behind the scenes work with promoting it and getting people signed up, communicating with them, scheduling, planning, you know, routes for going out and delivering gardens. And then there's the piece of actually delivering the gardens. So we bring the beds, we bring the soil, we bring the plants, we bring the seeds, and we set a time to plant it with the person. We leave them with a bunch of information and do education with them. And one piece about the mini gardens that I think that we could do a better job on, and I would love to have some of you jump right in if you're looking for a project right now. We really would like to be offering more ongoing support to mini garden recipients. And right now would be an excellent time, as we're getting right to the great time for fall planting, to do a compost and plant giveaway, maybe at the Jardín. So we could get a couple of yards of compost. We could send out email and text blasts to all 500 people who've received mini gardens in the last 3 years and say, hey, this is a perfect time to refresh your garden for fall. Come pick up some compost. We'll show you what you should plant this time of year. And then after we see who shows up for that, you could even do more outreach directly to people who didn't show up and offer to bring them compost and plants and work with them directly at their house to refresh their mini gardens, so that that isn't just a one-time planting and forget about it, but actually support them in learning the seasonality and the flow of what that can look like over the course of a year. So yeah, and then other things come up here and there. You know, we could do more workshops, more skill shares. We could do more educational stuff if that's an energy that you bring to the team. And because I want to leave time for others and honor our 1 hour time frame, I'm going to pass it to Kate. And my segue to passing it to Kate with education is to also let you all know that we very much want you to borderline feel like we need to require you to engage in our study group at the start of your service with us. That's something that all of our core team and our staff and our board engages with. It is a bit of a commitment, and I understand if it doesn't work schedule-wise for every one of you, but even if you're not able to come to the Zooms at the time that they're happening, I still feel that it's important that you engage with the material and maybe have a few conversations with Kate directly if you need to schedule something outside of the study group time. So maybe you could start off explaining about study groups and how they work and what the time commitment and when they start, Kate, and then just talk broadly about your program area.
I can do so. Yep. Thank you.
And
So
try to
this,
leave 5
I'll
minutes.
talk first about the study group, and right now it's tentatively scheduled to meet on Thursdays from 6 to 7:30. And each week we explore different topics. So a lot of what you have seen with Tamara's conversation is what we explore. So we look at the solidarity economy in much more depth. We also look at it's called the People's Orientation for Regenerative Economy, which is another model similar to the solidarity economy. We then move into and look at those 4 areas of why capitalism isn't working: the heteropatriarchy, the racism, the anti-feminism, and I can't remember the 4th component right now, but we colonialism is the 4th one. So we look at that and kind of I took the study session 3 years ago, I think it is, and then started co-facilitating the study groups after that. And I have learned so much from the readings and the videos that has been curated over time, and we continue to kind of augment and change those resources out as well. So, you know, I think it was Philip, you were the Native American Studies person, am I correct? Okay. Yeah, so with your interest in that, it would be really cool to flesh out the colonization, you know, and to me, there's also, as Tamara said, there's great potential in learning from Indigenous communities on how to live more sustainably and respectfully. And, you know, so bringing that into the study group has been one of my goals, is to really look at the positives as well as the negatives of these areas. So that is a 12-week commitment. And let me just quickly, if the 4 of you are involved, does Thursday evenings from 6 to 7:30 work for y'all?
I have class from 5 to 8:50 that day.
On that day? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm open at that time.
Okay. Jose and Jasmine?
I'm open on that time. I do my school online, so I can choose the hours then.
Okay. Okay. And
I have
Jose?
a class 6 to 7 on that day.
You have class from 6 to 7?
Yeah, Thursday.
Okay. What does Tuesdays look like for you, the 4 of you? Tuesdays 6 to 7:30.
I have one astronomy class that requires us from 6 to 8 Thursday.
On Tuesdays?
Yeah, every Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I got the 6 to 7 commitment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to figure that out. We might have to have you guys do a separate study group or something like that, and maybe do it more autonomously, so we can figure that out. I agree with Tamara that, say again, Tamara?
I was just going to say, of course, that counts towards your 15 hours. You know, you
Yes.
can
Yeah.
you can the time spent in the session and your, you know, probably about an equal amount of time to that for digesting the material each
Right.
week.
So that's the study group, and the study group, as I said, it continues to evolve and continues to kind of new material. I try to curate and put new material in, and hold on to the good old stuff as well. So that is one project, is being involved with the study groups. Another project is to, we've had a conversation about developing a youth education program around a solidarity economy. Have not put any effort into that. And so that would be something that would be, wide open for exploration. What would that look like? How could we engage and make a different economy really attractive to young people? And that could be, at what end, from 6-year-olds or whatever to 18-year-olds, or maybe even offer study groups for college students as well, as possibilities. So that's one area that we're interested in growing or building out. Another aspect is, and it kind of ties in with what Tamara was saying, is kind of Skillshare. And that could be, what do you want to learn, and what do you want to teach? And so it would be a free and open kind of community learning and growth program, where it would need to be fleshed out with respect to what types of programs could be offered, probably some videos. So we could be doing YouTube videos and posting those so people can learn, offering classes. It could also be a way to attract more people to what is Cooperation Humboldt, kind of as an entry point. So we were talking maybe the first half hour is a Cooperation Humboldt hangout, and then we open it up to skill sharing after that. So that would need quite a lot of work. It would need a database to be developed that would include the infrastructure of how to advertise and schedule these different skill shares, finding places to gather, finding different communities. We were talking maybe veterans, for example, might have some skills and might have some desires to learn things. It might also be the Grange halls or the farmers in the area. So it would be really a lot of outreach and identifying people who have skills that they would be willing to share those skills. Master gardeners and master canners might be two other kind of categories and areas. So, and then there's also there's a how would you say this, Tamara? There's a container full of tools. So there was kind of a desire to have a tool library where people could, rather than having to buy a chainsaw or a wheelbarrow or whatever, they could borrow it or check it out. That had been started, but it hasn't really been fleshed out, and it's not in operation. So those are some of the areas that we explored and discussed yesterday that we would like to get some help with. Any questions on whatever, all that I was talking about? Another, I think I want to say one other thing is, you all being college students, you know how important education is, right? And to Cooperation Humboldt, education is a critical component, is, kind of uncovering the existing deficiencies in our capitalistic system, and at the same time offering solutions for how things can be different. And so that has been a core aspect of the education committee and team. Is that a question, Christina? Okay.
Looks like
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
I had a quick question kind of in general, because I got paired with someone when I signed up for this, and she had asked what group I was going to be in. She had said food sovereignty, K through 12, and then like working with the ecosystem, something like that. I didn't know, because no one's ever told me what I was going to be doing. Since I do live in Reading, they told me I was going to be working partially remotely and then sometimes coming up there. I think it was Martel who told me that. You know who I'm talking about? He's
Is that somebody at Cal Poly Humboldt?
He's like one of the directors of CalCorps or something, one of the higher ups. Yeah. So how do you find all that out? Like, if you're matched with a particular person, which they've already matched me with someone, like, how am I supposed to find out exactly where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do, or who do you talk to?
I think we're all a little bit unsure about that, because this is brand new. Like, this is the first time anyone has ever done College Corps. It's the first time we've ever done it. there are like things, you know, I signed up for it months ago for our organization, but then there are like details that I've only learned in the last week.
Yeah.
So
It's been
I don't,
pretty confusing.
I feel like I feel like we're like definitely solidly matched for the food team with Jose and Momi. And then there's like 5 other people who I'm not really sure yet whether they have committed to us or whether we have said, yes, we have enough work for you. And if so, it's in this area. I don't have clarity on that either.
Do you know, outside of your group with CalCorps, is there another department that's doing
My-
work as well?
My contact has been Shalom.
That's who is on my paperwork as well.
So you might check with her.
Okay, all right.
And we only have a few minutes left, and I definitely want Kimberly to get to talk a little bit about Kuna. So I'm gonna hand it to Kimberly.
Oh, thanks. I did want to mention that we do somewhat deal with food sovereignty and that we are set apart topographically from the rest of Arcata. We are very disenfranchised. We are starting to get a voice, so it's pretty exciting time to get on board. But we're hoping to start a community garden. We can't even get water at our parks out here. So we're going to have to do a rainwater catchment system. We're going to have to get really creative. We also deliver food to the Latinx families. We're trying to get some little free pantries up. I recently talked to the front desk person over at the Comfort Inn, where the new resident hall is for Cal Poly Humboldt, and they were hoping that we could get a food pantry over there. We also work closely with Laurel Tree Charter School, which is right here in the Valley West community on the strip, actually kind of catty corner and down the street from from the Comfort Inn. It's a K through 12. It's all about permaculture. They just acquired a new building right next to the park where it abuts the city park. So that's going to be a great opportunity for us to do a community garden. And I'm also on the school board, so I know everybody at the school. So I think it's a really exciting time for Kuna. We're finally getting a voice. We've got a lot of media that and the community as a whole. We just did a participatory budget campaign where the city kind of, if you will, no, I'll be nice. I was going to say they threw the dog a bone. We got $15,000, but I'm a single mom and I really know how to stretch a budget. And we did great things, Kuna, with a very little amount of money. And so because of that, the city is going to be giving us 30,000 of ARPA funds. So we're going to be engaging the community, deepening democracy, and basically getting the community a voice and how they want to see money spent. As I don't know if you folks know a little bit about the demographics, but Kuna was a grassroots organization that was Latinx led. Of course, it includes everybody in Valley West. We also have the lion's share of affordable housing. We have the lion's share of older adult community. And of course, we have a lot of students out here now as well. We also have a very large, whatever is not desirable to quote unquote the city of Arcata, they sweep it out here. So we have a lot of unhoused community members. Most know me by name. I know them by name. And they're part of the community as well. What else can I say? We do all kinds of things. We're about community mobilization. We do community cleanups. We do incredible events. We had Humboldt County's first Latinx flea market, which is called the Tianguis. We have musical events, which was on the front page when you first saw what Cooperation Humboldt was all about. That was one of our events that we had. It was oh my goodness, I totally forgot the name. But it's a great band. If you haven't heard them, you hopefully will soon. We put together a newsletter. Oh, and we finally got art within the community for the first time in Valley West, the forgotten part of Arcata, if you will. And so we've been doing community murals. We just did a project with ink people. We got a basketball court, huge, beautiful mural. Our murals, we had one of our first murals that we put together was a Mayan hieroglyphic. It says Valley West. And we also put together a Cesar Chavez Power to the People. We have a mariachi band. We have more murals. We're getting donations. So we're going to be doing art, gardening, food sovereignty, newsletters, events, and whatever else. Oh, also, we are doing a feasibility grant. So somebody who is in environmental management studies might be interested in this. We are trying to do some risk assessments. We are going to do a resilient hub. So when not during times of disaster, we will also operate as a resource center. The city just did a CBDG grant for a youth center / neighborhood center, all of just the same thing of we need a place, a physical place for the community to meet, to have their needs met, not just during disaster times or disaster preparedness, but also when, you know, people need emergency food year round. So it'll also be a place to learn Spanish, adult education classes, teen parenting classes, whatever the community needs. We're identifying that through the feasibility study, because every community, Fortuna is going to have different needs in their resource center than those who live maybe in Trinidad or Blue Lake or McKinleyville even. One of the things with Arcata is they have a resource center at it's Sunset School, but when school closes, there's nothing for the summer. So folks just go hungry in the summer, or they have to have a car and they have to go somewhere to get their food. So we would hopefully be able to fill that gap. And as I mentioned, we're topographic, we're disconnected. We're like an island almost in Valley West. We were not meant for walkability. It's not pedestrian friendly. It's not bike friendly. It's not it's a car place. So we're trying to get the city to hear us and create paths so the students and everybody in the community can get to main Arcata safely, feel like we're connected. We just, the city just got a $691,000 grant to develop Carlson Park, which is the only within city limits access to the Mad River. And we just made an announcement, or you will see, so a sneak preview, a huge grant to do park amenities at the entrance of the park. So we get picnic tables, grills. It's super exciting. Oh, and we also are going to be doing a ribbon cutting on the 4th. If you want to come join us from 9 to 11, we're doing a community clean the sidewalk event. And then right after that, we'll be doing a kickoff barbecue, ribbon cutting to celebrate all the new park amenities and to welcome Cal Poly Humboldt to Valley West. And boom, time's up. That was a lot. So we would love to have you. If you have some Spanish speaking skills, that's great. I am not fluent at all, actually. I can write a little bit and I use a lot of Google Translate. So if somebody had some to bring to the table, that would be super awesome. But if you don't, we have so much work and so much community, and we do have 2 Spanish speakers on the team. Questions?
You sold me.
Going once, going twice. So yeah, please do consider. We're a small group. We only have, it's mostly volunteer. And that's it.
Hear me? That's because I muted. Okay, so I want to wrap up for time with that. And I would just say, Christina, Jasmine, and Philip, if you decide you'd like to work with us, let's set up maybe a one-on-one follow-up conversation. If you can send me your availability, maybe, you know, like early next week, or I could even chat over the weekend if that's easier. My schedule's usually pretty flexible, so it's probably easier to start with your availability and go from there. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm going to send you an email as soon as I log off, letting you know.
Okay,
Nice meeting all of you guys.
thanks for being here. Have a good Friday, good weekend.
Thank you. Nice meeting everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for your
Bye.
time.